Is 2025 your year to make a move? Well, in this episode, we are going to talk about all of the opportunities to buy, sell, or invest in real estate here on the Central Coast. Hello, and welcome back to the Happy House Hacking Podcast, the podcast designed to help you achieve home ownership here in California. We're your hosts, Camille and Owen Schwagerly. We are realtors, investors, and happy house hackers. And we are here to share with you the latest 2025 market update, talk about the important insurance market and all of the changes that are currently happening, as well as share some awesome client stories. So let's get into it.
All right. So the good news right now in California is the Association of Realtors. They track statistics for us, and they are coming out with their forecast for the year. And it looks like we're going to have more houses selling this year.
That's
A
awesome.
10% increase in housing options. And this is great. I mean, just imagine going to Costco and shopping around, and then all of a sudden you see they added a completely new aisle of products to the market, like a 10% increase of your options. So that would be huge. You'd have such a great time going down that aisle, seeing all the goods that are available. And that's what's happening right now in real estate. There are more houses getting listed. People are going to start moving again. The rate lock effect has diminished, which means that people are ready to list and sell. And that, combined with new construction coming on the market, will give buyers about 10% more options in 2025 than they had available in 2024.
Exactly. Yeah. And I think it's important to note too that although we're going to see an increase in inventory, and we are already starting to see a little bit of that, that doesn't mean that price is going to go down completely. We are still projecting that home prices are going to increase by about 4.5%, which, means that we're not going to see a major jump. However, we don't want to sit back on the sidelines and keep saying, "Oh, I don't want to buy a house until prices drop." That's just not going to happen, especially not on the central coast of California. We're just not going to see that.
Hmm. Yeah. So the reason why things are going to also get better for buyers and sellers this upcoming year is mortgage rates are projected to come down a little bit.
There we go. That'll be a great
I
day when
know,
that
and
happens.
we've seen it, it was starting to come back down. It was about 6, a little bit below 6 in the, kind of fall of last year. Things picked up, activity really picked up during that window, and then rates did start to climb back up to 7+%. And so what they're projecting is that by the end of 2025, we're gonna see rates in the low 6, maybe even 5.9% range, which would be a huge relief. And that will really help out with affordability.
Yeah, because it's sad. Affordability has decreased by 50% in the last 5 years. So in 2020, the average affordability was only about 32%. Only that means 32% of people in California could afford to buy a house, which is just shocking. And right now, it's at 16%. And that's really in large part because of rates. I mean, of course, housing prices increasing too, but rates have just been damaging to affordability. So hopefully we'll see that affordability index increase
Mhm.
as well because it's just ridiculous that only 16% of people
Mhm.
can afford to buy a house here. That just doesn't make sense, and it needs to be a top priority to change that for our state.
It definitely does. And the way we're going to make houses more affordable is just by building more of them. And so that's what California is really emphasizing is they want more development, they want more dense development, they want to build up, not as much out. And so a lot of these new construction developments are tight. There's like townhouses that are pretty tight, small lots, and it's just what has to happen in order to build enough housing units to shelter our growing population.
Yep. So, what does this mean for buyers and sellers in 2025? It's exciting because if you are currently a homeowner in the country, this is a nationwide statistic. If you are currently a homeowner in America, you are sitting on average, this is, national average, $311,000 of equity. That is so much money that you could use to roll into your next property if you choose to upsize and make a move this year. So, if that's you and you're sitting on a lot of equity, let's chat because maybe your real estate goals can be realized this year, especially with the way the market is turning.
Yes, this is so amazing. I mean, in California, that number would be even higher because the median sales price of a home in California is nearly double
Yeah.
the national average. So I'd imagine that equity could potentially also be nearly double. So people are sitting on a large amount of equity, which they can tap into to make that next move right now. And that's why it's so important that you get in contact with an amazing real estate professional in your local market. And here on the Central Coast of California, we have a lot of real estate professionals. There's actually 2,657 real estate agents in our
Wow.
area. And last year, there was only 2,616 home sales.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
I know. So there's actually more agents than there are houses that sold last year.
Yep. Yep. And probably only 20% of those realtors even sold those homes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So who you work with matters when it comes to making that move because you want to make sure that your real estate agent is experienced, that they have a track record, that they have systems and processes that they follow for repeatable success, and that they're not just, doing this as a hobby, but really treating it as a profession. That way you get the customer care and service that you need on your upcoming move, whether it be upsizing, downsizing, starter home, investment property, vacation home. You need to make sure you have a great team in your corner working with you.
Yeah, the 80-20 principle is so real in every facet of life, but
Mhm.
especially when it comes to sales in our area, because I wasn't kidding when I said I bet 20% of those agents did 80% of the deals because there are some who are hobbyists, like you just said, and then there are others who are going to fight tooth and nail for you. And this is what they do. They live and breathe this as their business. And those are the types of people you want to work with to help you make that next move.
Definitely. Now we have to talk about insurance.
Yeah,
California has had insurance issues for years now. It's kind of been building up to this point. And this year, 2025, with the wildfires in Los Angeles, who would have thought that never crossed our minds that that could even be possible? And it's really coming to a head. And so, what is happening with the insurance world? What are insurance companies going to do? And what's going to happen next?
I know, that was just devastating, devastating what happened in Los Angeles, and the price of the homes there with all of their custom finishes and imported furniture and light fixtures are worth way more than the average home, right? And so that just exacerbated the issue to
Hmm.
make it even more of a crisis because you can't just go to Home Depot and rebuild those homes. Those are custom homes that were gorgeous and they are gone and it's so sad. So there with that in mind, we were already in a crisis like you said. We're kind of still waiting for the full aftermath, but what we're expecting from what we've heard from professionals is that you're just going to see your premiums increase, increase, increase. And thankfully that moratorium has been lifted or is in place where you can't get a non-renewal for a year and you can't get your policy canceled on you right now. So that's really good news. However, they're not fixed premiums. It's not
Hmm.
like a fixed rate mortgage. Your premium could increase anytime. And with all of the payouts happening, the companies are going to need to recoup their expenses.
Yeah. And so it's really sad. And this all kind of stems from a proposition that was passed in California back in 1988, which actually capped how much insurance premiums could go up each year. And so what happened was you had insurance premiums going up this much, but the risk exposure was going up this much. And so the amount of risk that companies are now facing is just far greater than the amount of revenue they can even bring in. And so they have a profitability crisis. And that's why they've been wanting to exit California. They've been dropping households. And so the solution is to untap the cap. Really, it is just to take that cap off and allow the free market to dictate where premiums should be. And that way, companies can self modulate and regulate, adapting to making sure that they're still profitable so that way they can still stay in business and do what they do best, which is provide insurance to those who need it in the marketplace. And so right now, the industry is in for change. It's really due for a big change here. And what that means, though, is the cost of insurance is going to go up.
Oh, yeah, we've seen clients, it's been, 400% for some clients. That's not even an exaggeration.
Hmm.
It's been crazy, and that was before the fires. So, there's a reality that you may be in a more rural area and your insurance premium might go up so much that you can't afford your house anymore. And that is a sad truth that we are starting to see. I mean, there was this house listed for sale just last week, and the insurance is $12,000 a year. And I'm sure that's a deciding factor for the
Hmm.
sellers wanting to
Yeah.
sell, but we need to keep that in mind when we're shopping for homes. So
Hmm.
our conversations with our buyers are looking slightly different now. We're saying, all right, if your all in monthly cost is going to be $5,000, well, then let's look at homes where your mortgage is going to be between $4,000 and $4,500 because we need a cushion for insurance that could be
Hmm.
$500 to $1,000 per month.
Yeah. So that's what people need to start thinking of. And here's a few tips on how to mitigate the risks due to the impending insurance situation with costs going up. So, number one, right there, is just budget that in and find a house that's going to be lower than what you're comfortable with for a monthly payment. So that way, when insurance goes up, you've got that cushion in your monthly budget. So that's tip number one. Tip number two is we actually have a tool at our brokerage where you can look at insurance maps. It'll look if it's a floodplain or a fire zone or AB 38 compliant, which is basically an assembly bill that just tells you if there's high fire risks in certain areas. And so that's a free tool where you can type in an address and actually look at it on the map, and it will give you an overview. It's not going to be with 100% accuracy because every insurance company is different, but it will let you know if it's in that high fire zone or not. And that way, before you pursue it or even make an offer, you can kind of check that out and see if that's something you wanted to pursue. So, number one, mitigate by budgeting. Number two, mitigate through changing location based upon where you can have less fire risk. And then number three is taking preventative measures on your property. So there's this whole movement right now in California called creating your defensible space around your property. And a defensible space is essentially a zone where you've got 20 plus 40 feet of space around your property with no debris, like no trees, just you want to have like hardscape around your house, like concrete or things like that to protect and make sure that nobody gets into your property. So that's one thing we're really, really telling people: mitigate with your budget, mitigate with your location, and mitigate by taking the action, be proactive, not reactive. So, another example of this is we have clients who have been dropped with their insurance because they looked at the satellite imagery from Google Earth and looked at the house and saw that there was a tree limb hanging over the roof of the home. And the insurance company says, look, we're going to non renew you unless you take care of this tree right here. Because this tree, if it catches fire, it's going to fall on the house and cause the whole house to go down in flames. They don't want that. They're being really proactive. Another example, they had a house that the satellite imagery showed it was covered in like moss, like algae like substances. It was kind of green. That property also was getting a non-renewal. Same reason. You got to get on there, you got to maintain the house. They ended up scrubbing the roof in the tiles to make it look spruced up. They cleaned it and they showed new pictures to the insurance company, and they were able to keep their insurance and actually get the renewal that they needed for that property. So those are some examples on things you can do to be proactive and make sure you're still getting insurance during these trying times.
Now, we are connected with so many different great insurance agents. If you ever need to talk to someone, reach out to us. We're happy to connect you so you can get a couple quotes, talk through things. It's really important to review your policy. Make sure that if you have a trust, that your trust is named as an additionally insured on your policy. It's just really important to do annual reviews on your insurance policy, especially in this time.
Yeah. Yeah. The good news about this whole situation in Los Angeles is we heard that insurance companies have been actually pretty quick on their responses in cutting checks to people who've lost their homes, for the ability to have payments for shelter while they don't have a home, and they're cutting those checks quickly. So that is one of the good things, to know that there are companies that are rapidly responding and making sure that the people are getting their payouts.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about our fun client news, right? We have some
Yes.
awesome success stories, and it's also a great reminder of the importance of having a buyer consultation. So I'll start if you're okay with that.
Yeah.
Okay. So we have a great set of clients. We met with them and they're like, yeah, we're probably 6 months to a year out. So they weren't too eager to get pre approved. So about 6 months went by and this amazing home hit the market, went to the open house, checked it out, called us. Okay, we want to buy it. How do we do it? We're like, well, there's currently 7 offers on the house. Are you able to get your pre approval done like right now? So that way we can come in strong. We're going to need to be about $90,000 over the ask price to get it. And it was just an automatic, okay, yeah, we're not ready. So it was, kind of like a fire drill, right? It got them excited, ready to go. So they met with the lender later in the week, got pre approved. That house sold for quite a bit of money. And then they started getting into the market and we checked out different homes. And then we found a house that we really liked. We wrote an offer, we got it accepted. And then, just like we always say, it's not over till it's over. And we found out there were some serious deferred maintenance in the backyard, on the back deck that was crumbling, just a lot of pest work. And it was just a no go. It wasn't worth it for the clients. So we just said, you know what? There will be another door that's open for you, and let's cancel and move on. And sure enough, almost right away, this amazing home hit the market, and our clients were ready to go. How many offers were on this one?
There's a total of six
Six
offers on
offers.
this
Yeah. So
property.
so there were five others that we were competing with, and we ended up winning. And our clients won because they had that feeling of losing that very first time,
Hmm.
where they weren't even ready to compete with 7 other people. And then they knew what a good house looked like, because the house we were previously under contract on wasn't good
Hmm.
and it needed a lot of work. And so now they knew, all right, this is a gem. I don't want to miss out on it. I'm pre-approved. I'm ready to go. Let's go big. And we got the house. It was, one of those narrow narrow wins, but we still got
Hmm.
it. And oh my gosh, we're just so thrilled for them. So we share that because just because your timeline is 6 to 12 months out, like they're shopping within their timeline, it's still so important to get pre-approved pretty soon after meeting with your real estate team, just so you're aware of your purchasing power.
Hmm. And it was just a beautiful progression of, each time we went and saw a house, we were getting more experienced. We understood the market a little bit better, and they just felt more confident. So by the time that house came up, they were ready to really compete. Whereas that first house, they weren't ready to compete. And so getting in the market, meeting with your agent, getting that pre-approval, touring homes, going to open houses, all of that is part of the buyer journey. And that's something we want to encourage you to do. Just start that process. Sit down with an agent to do the market overview and learn more about the areas you're looking in, and then get that approval. So when you do see something, you're not heartbroken because you missed out and it sold to somebody else.
Definitely. I know that's the worst feeling is when you fall in love with a place and you can't get it. So we really encourage you to just meet with your agent, have that buyer consultation. We are doing buyer consultations every single week. We're always available for that.
Hmm.
And then getting pre approved really soon after is going to set you up for success.
So it's going to be a great year. A
Yeah.
lot of activity in the market, with people buying and selling, upsizing, downsizing. There's going to be a lot of movement. So if you've had thoughts about making a move in real estate, contact us. We'd love to connect with you, learn more about who you are and what you're looking for, and get you that custom game plan to help you succeed in finding that perfect home.
Thanks so much for tuning in today. We will see you on the next episode.